wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
The legendary
Kim Fields, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. So glad to be here.
How you feeling?
I feel amazing. I feel amazing. How about you guys?
Blessed, Black, and highly favored.
All right.
Yes,
That's where to be.
Same.
Another hit TV show, Kim. Season 5 with the Upshaws on
Yes,
Netflix. My
thank
God.
you.
How does it feel?
Really very surreal, but awesome. And, you know, just loving how everybody loves the Upshaws. It's really incredible. We're in the middle of filming new episodes now while new episodes just dropped. And it's just, you know, the party train keeps on going.
Does it get weird ever because people know you for so many different things? Like this new generation probably knows you from the Upshaws, but don't know you from any of your previous things.
Well, a lot of people, I mean, they still do, you know, the whole living single vibe. And I think my favorite way to get recognized now is, yo, ain't you that chick from the Mike Epps show?
Mike Epps.
That's my favorite. Like, there's no other career highlight but that.
Do you savor this one more? Just because, you know, like you're an OG. And when you were young, when you had a lot of those other really hit shows, like did this one hit a little different? Just
living
because...
single.
Well, thank you. I think this one hits different because of the timing. There's so many shows. There's so much content out there. There's so much noise out there. There's so many platforms. And for us to keep finding our lane and blazing new trails, breaking new ground, finding the audience, finding us and loving us and being so loyal, I think that's, you know, honestly, what feels different about this one. Yeah.
And you're producing and directing it too. So being on both sides, how's that?
It's fun. I love being able to have a voice for the whole thing. You know, sometimes when you're acting, you just have your voice for that one piece and then go home. And so to be able to really care about and have a voice that's regarded when you're crafting the entire brand of the show, you know, the storylines, the casting, the this, the that, all the nooks and crannies of it.
Is there a science to a successful sitcom, or is it just the luck of the draw?
I think it's a little bit of both, but there is a science in terms of, and especially, again, timing. You got to be authentic. Everybody wants to see stories and characters that really reflect the sign of the times, that reflect who they are, that they can relate to. I think relatability is the biggest thing right now. And in comedy, you have to be extraordinarily funny. And with Mike and Wanda, when Mike started with the idea, he brought it to Wanda, and then it unfolded from there. They said kind of the 3 tenets of the show would be, it had to be really funny and really messy and really real. And I feel like that's kind of that formula that gets you that lightning in a bottle. And then when I look back at my other series or even other successful shows, I think that's really what it comes down to. You know, are these characters engaging? And what are they into? And what are the stories? And how do I relate to it? And if it's not something that's either funny or relatable, like sci-fi or a period piece, things like that, again, you've got to be so grounded in whatever the truth is, and then let all of the, you know, shenanigans or fantasy or whatever kind of stem from that, I think.
Does it get difficult to stay consistent? Because I don't see that many black shows on air anymore like I used to, and as actresses do so many gigs, is it easier to get gigs, or is it more difficult? Is it less work out there?
Yeah, I was just talking with Holly Robinson Pete about this, and it just seems like it's harder now, and post-strike bounce back and things like that. One would think that because, again, like I said, there's so much content, there's so many platforms, that there'd just be this plethora of jobs and things. But at the same time, you've got less episodes in a season now. So I think that gets factored in as well. But overall, it is an effort that you have got to put in to keep it fresh, to keep it popping, because people can recognize game. And if you're trying to phone it in, that's not going to fly, you know? So you do have to be committed. And at the end of, or at the beginning of every season of the Upshaws, I'm always, you know, kind of giving our war cry of level up. Let's level up. And I think that's what we do.
Do you have to go out and try out for these parts anymore? As one of those things, but like, nah, they'll call me for a part. I'm not at the, I'm too.
I'm Kim Fields, damn it.
Kim Fields, damn it. I'm not
yes, I'm
doing
too
it.
iconic.
Yeah, too iconic to do that. I'm not doing that.
There is a shift. So I don't necessarily audition, and I haven't for quite some time. Amen. But, you get considered. But my thing is, don't just tell me, well, your name is out there or your name is on the list, because I don't know what people think when they think Kim Fields, especially the industry. And so my thing is, I'm usually having to erase some ghosts. You know what I mean? So that
what do you mean some ghosts?
Meaning I don't want you to just go, oh yeah, well, Kim Fields, and then your mind thinks of anything from Facts of Life to, and with the internet, everything. I mean, I just posted Miss Butterworth commercial, as a throwback. Living Single. You just never know what people's perception is, not just in terms of you, but then your ability to do that character, to be a chameleon. And to me, that's one of the greatest gifts of acting, is to be a chameleon. I don't want to play Kim Fields in something, because then what is that? I'm not acting. Which is why Regine was one of my favorites to play, because she was so not like me. But I'm not in that space of where I go in and audition and things like that. There are times that I'll go in and meet, like a chemistry read, go in and meet casting or producers, director, just so that they see what's up. I guess the best way to describe it.
Most of the times in Hollywood, it's not even about what you do on camera, though. It's how you are off camera. But I don't know, but you've never had that reputation of being like difficult to work with. You never flipped a table in the writer's room, have you?
Yeah, she like, y'all don't know. Hold on. Y'all don't know.
No, because I feel like, number one, I just love our industry. And then in terms of somebody who is into wellness, you treat people with respect, and you should get that reciprocity. There are times when you do have difficult moments, sure, and working on a project is, after a while, working like with family, and we all know that family can be interesting to navigate. And so but there's a certain level of professionalism, there's a certain level of respect. Home training. I mean,
home training.
About it.
That's
home
right.
training.
You don't hear that no more.
That's right.
You better act like you got some home training.
That's right.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
You feel
Regine,
like,
oh my bad, go ahead. Regine was my girl though. Like that was I'm glad that you said that was your favorite to play, because that was my girl. I grew up watching that show. And speaking of those shows like Facts of Life and Living Single, how are you with the cast of those shows? Like,
so close.
Yeah.
So close. Yes. Kim Coles and I just had a text and TC. The Living Single cast, along with the show's creator Yvette, we are on a text thread that should really be the reboot. Just this text thread. Just take screenshots of that. But we all are super close. Basically, again, like I said, when you work with people for a stretch of time, even on a movie, that's a month or 6 weeks, 8 weeks, sometimes 6 months. You really do become like a family. And when I grew up, I started out as a crew baby. So I always loved, that kind of familial concept. So we always keep in touch. I'm always, making sure that I'm doing my part, to stay in touch with people. And see what's up.
I've been hearing Queen Erica Alexander talk about a reboot. I don't know how serious it is, because she jokes a lot, but she'll be like, yo, send money to the GoFundMe. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, are there really some serious talks happening?
We've been on and off in serious talks, and I think the thing that is the great disruptor, and it's a good problem to have, is nobody's available. I mean, that's a great problem to have. Nobody is sitting around like, y'all remember me? We could do this.
Yeah.
It's not the case at all. And so I think that's a really, like I said, it's a good problem to have.
So y'all would have to take time. Y'all would have to really Yeah,
exactly. And, to me, the thing about reboots, you got to be careful with them, I think, because the idea is always intriguing, and you want more of something that's familiar to you. But if you get it wrong, you can't just throw these characters back together and be like, what would y'all be doing now?
Yeah.
And so I really applaud people who do it really well, because they're taking the time to not just think about what these characters would be doing now, but how to not, like Cobra Kai, they did the damn thing. They really, that was a reboot / reimagining. And so I feel like when you really fine tune it and you're strategic about it, it can be great. But again, the timing.
Do you feel like you have to remind people? I said you said you reposted an old Butterworth commercial. Do sometimes you feel like you got to remind people what you've done because they forget so fast?
Oh no, the internet is marvelous at that.
Yes, they are.
So maybe I should ask, do you get embarrassed with some of the older stuff?
No, because I know the place that it comes from. I recognize that the characters that I've been able to breathe life into, the shows that I've been a part of, they mean something to people. And not just people of color, not just black women, but they mean something. And so I understand, again, the place that it comes from. So, you know, I don't get mad or upset or embarrassed. It's actually still very surreal, you know, the way that you can do something and it has impact. What you guys do here, and it has impact, you know, and people hold on to some of these gems and won't let them go.
You know, I wanted to ask you, where do you think black people are more impactful nowadays, behind the camera or in front of the camera?
Well, I think it's finally, you know, kind of evened itself out in terms of the amount of storytellers and creatives behind the scenes, so that there are more stories. But we're not just telling black stories either. And so I feel like that's been really significant, you know. But I think that we're evening out in terms of where our impact is. We have more cinematographers, we have more editors, we have more showrunners, more makeup and hair teams. I mean, you know, you have people that are just in all the spaces more now than ever. And so I feel like that's helping to level the playing field so that we're now more of a collective as opposed to just the select actors and actresses that were the chosen ones.
I know the representation always matters, but where do you think it matters more? For us to be seen or creating this story, so to speak.
Well, I think you know it's one of those, which comes first, chicken or the egg, because you have to have the story to be seen in. But then you have to have the lights to be seen. You have to have, you know, the cameras to see your ass. So I feel like it's all one. It's a movement. You know, I feel like it's all one movement.
Lighting is important for black people. When you on set, we don't talk about that enough. But lighting is important.
You know, there is a celebrated director of photography who started out as a lighting director. Well, he didn't start out, like they probably started as, you know, well below that, named Don Morgan. And Don Morgan was just, I think last year, inducted into the Hall of Fame. He has won multiple Emmys. And he started, I learned from him on Facts of Life. And then he was the original lighting director and set and DP and set the show for the Upshaws. So coming full circle, the woman who does my makeup on the Upshaws did my makeup on Facts of Life.
Wow.
Yeah. Our first AD started out as a runner on Facts of Life, and now he's, you know, so it's some of our camera people, you know, people that I've known since I was a little girl and I learned from. But everybody is important. I think that's the main thing about crew, and you know, they used to call it above the line, below the line, and at this point there's no line anymore. You know, some people will be like, well, there is for paying, but we're talking about it from a creative aspect. And right now, you know, it's all the collective effort.
Now, you started out so young acting, right?
Yes.
And we hear all these stories about childhood actors and actresses. Did you have to go through any of that? Where you know, how did your parents or family make sure that you were safe from all the stuff that we're hearing about from Nickelodeon?
That's Miss Chip Fields'
right.
daughter.
I'm Chip's kid. Exactly. And you know, the thing that still gets me to this day, bro, is that she was a single teen mom.
Wow.
She ain't know nothing about raising a kid, let alone raising a kid in the industry. But she had the good sense to know, hey, we need to make sure you're kind. She was an actress and always knew to be professional. So she imparted that to me. But she never stopped parenting me, you know? So a lot of the stuff now, just growing up, that's, you know, whether you're in Hollywood or, you know, anywhere else in the world, Hollywood or Harlem, you're still going to have to grow up and deal with all the shit that comes from just growing pains. But when you're doing it, in a fishbowl, of course it's different. There's more pressure. But again, I'm Chip's kid, so it's one of the. I got home training.
Yeah,
I knew better.
You had directed a bunch of episodes of the Kenan and Kel show as well. And I don't know if you saw the Quiet on the Set documentary, but I
did not see it, but I'm aware of it. Yeah. And I was actually not there during that time. I was after that time, but I don't know if that was your question.
Yeah. How closely did you work with Dan Schneider and
Yeah, like Kenan said, we kind of came after all of that, so we were in a different time frame.
Got it.
Okay.
No, that's all.
Miss Chip Fields, right? When you saw that episode on Good Times, when she played Janet Jackson Mama, right? With that iron and everything else. Do you ever ask her where did that come from? Because I know she wasn't doing that.
No, no, she wasn't doing it at home. The thing for me with that episode is, and that storyline is, I saw them practice. I saw them rehearse. LaToya would bring Jan over to our apartment in Studio City, and they would work on that material. So to me, it wasn't terrifying. Like, everybody's like, this woman scared me and still does, and I'm shook and all that. I'm like, they were working hard in the kitchen. And, so I have a very different perspective on it. But I'd always known my mother to be a tremendous actor. I mean, tremendous actor back in that New York early 70s, mid 70s, when they were doing all the movies out here. And just, it was a different type of acting, that was so hardcore and so real. Claudine, Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, Come Back Charleston Blue. Those movies where they weren't the blaxploitation movies. And she was 20, 21, 22, coming up in that, and she would bring the thunder all the time. And so when she migrated to LA, they, it was almost like they hadn't seen that style of acting, which is why she really stood out.
Did she like, I don't want to say force, that's not the right word, but did she push you into Hollywood?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. So when Mom was doing Pearl Bailey's Hello Dolly, I would go to either to the theater here on Broadway, or I would go to see her on tour. And I loved being behind the scenes. Like, I'm a really shy person, and I was a very shy kid. I was an only child for the longest time, so I wasn't like, watch me, and not at all. I was one of them, just sit back in the cut and watch. But I loved seeing what I would come to know as the artisans, right? The people, the crew babies. I was the crew baby, but the crew. So working and seeing them create the wigs and the makeup and the sets and the this and the costumes and everything. And so that's what I loved about it. And I knew that I wanted to be a part of that. And she would always, once I got started in it, she would always say, well, do you want to do this? Like, every time we would get the call that Facts Life had been picked up, she said, do you still want to do it? Do you still want to act? Do you still want to do this? Wow. Because, how do you know to do that? So.
Did you ever get out of line and she grabbed the iron just playing?
Listen, she didn't get no iron, but she did backhand me, and I was like, oh, okay.
One of them mama backhands was no joke back in the day. And they used to come out of nowhere.
Just out of nowhere. Well, I had warning, too, because my mom, from the time she was a little girl, she had a temper. And so if she bit her knuckle,
that means it's coming.
That means you better get the hell out the way. Yeah. And so I saw it, and I was like, but that don't mean me right now. I'm not doing that. And before I knew it, exactly.
Now, I wanted to, since you pick what you want to do, is this something that you've been thinking about that you want to do?
Oh, boy. Absolutely.
And what's
that? I want to do some, and I've been developing with a really great team, some projects in the sci-fi genre. I have an inner mermaid in me that is just dying to come out. I also have an inner explorer in me, so I'm just now starting to have conversations with National Geographic, which
nice.
Man, wait till y'all see me at the top of some glacier and, or...
You gonna do all that?
Listen, that is me all day, every day. Yes. So I just love that kind
People
of
behind you
stuff,
shaking their head like, oh, gosh, oh, gosh.
They're like, we're not going on that one.
You going by yourself.
She don't need glam on a glacier.
Right.
So you want to play like a mermaid? Like,
yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. But like...
What you mean? Like mermaids, water, swimming?
Yes, absolutely.
What is this thing with mermaids with you?
Well, I love water. I love water, and so I've always been fascinated with what is beneath the surface. And I really love, like Netflix had this documentary called Mer People. Right, Sean? Listen, that thing right there, I started following all of them, and they were like, oh my God. So I just think it's really just so fascinating. And my son asked me once, if you had a superpower, and I was like, I'd want to breathe underwater. Yeah. Like, that's the superpower that I would
What
want.
is Mer People?
Mer People are the mermaid culture. So they are, it's a subculture, but it's like a whole thing. Like they got like festivals and conferences.
Under the water? Okay, all right.
No, but they embrace the mermaid concept. Or the merman concept. And then they have cruises, they have competitions and things. And there's this guy, Mer Taylor. He makes these incredible, I promise before God, he makes these incredible fins, tails, but they are so gorgeous and elaborate. And he started as a kid by watching in Florida, in the 60s, they had like this whole swim show with these women who would wear these beautiful costumes and things. And it was fascinating. So I've always loved that. So then I'm like, what if there's like a CIA, but for the whole mer culture?
So like they have aliens for the aliens, they have it for the mermaids.
Right, exactly. But it's their version of the CIA. Like, why do y'all keep coming in the water looking for stuff? Get out of here.
Oh, that could be dope. It could be C, like SEA.
There you go. Come on now.
Yeah.
So see there.
I got a book I'm going to recommend you. It's called Shallow Waters. It's about we got them? Oh yeah, it's by Yemi Ya. It's good. It's a fictional book.
Okay.
But it's
Do you like to read?
I love to read.
I like
That
to
is-
read. You like to read?
Girl, he will recommend the book to people that don't even read.
I love to read. I'm actually reading this beautiful story. It's actually the true story of Elizabeth Taylor and Montgomery Clift and their friendship, and they're working together, and it's beautiful. But going back to the book, yes.
No, I'm gonna give it to you if you leave. But I love the underwater exploration because I feel like the Earth is not 75% water for no reason. Like
That's right.
You hear those stories about how it probably was a huge flood.
Yeah.
And like there's so much under there, like whole other civilizations. I truly believe that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this weekend, I'm dropping my first in-person conversation with Refresh by KF. That's my series of conversations in my wellness space. And my first in-person conversation is with an explorer engineer named Albert Lynn. Albert was on the show Welcome to Earth that Will Smith did for National Geographic. And then he hosts these shows, Cities Revealed, Lost Cities, the not underwater, but the Lost Civilizations of the Mayans. And we were talking about, these civilizations and how when they discover what really was there and who was there, how empowering it is for the people who are there now. So I'm really, as you can hear and see, I'm fascinated.
Kim, you better not get on one of them submarines to go down there. You better
Listen.
not. You better not get on one of them submarines to go down there. You better not.
Yeah, we need you for the Upshaws.
I will do my very best. I will do my best. But I mean, there's certain dramas that for me in 2016, I told my team it's all about uncharted waters. We only say yes to things we haven't done before, to spaces we have not been in before. And not only saying yes, but go out and go out into the uncharted waters and find the new storytellers, find the new characters and things like that, the new styles of storytelling. So that's where I am with that, because I still love, after all this time, I still love what I do. And that's why when I put the Miss Butterworth picture up, I was like, wow, that's me. And we're still going.
That's right.
We're still going.
What has changed in Hollywood since then?
Well, I think obviously the biggest thing is just technology that then informs things like how people watch, where people watch, how much people can watch. So I think tech has really made such an impact. But I remember when we were doing Living Single, and it was like, oh, we got to renegotiate because DVDs is a thing, and nobody knew what that was going to be like, you know. And so now there's streaming, and now there's all these different ways that you can watch. But everything is cyclical, you know, everything comes back. But I think tech, that, you know, you can shoot anything on your phone and upload it to your own YouTube channel, and now you're a network executive.
Yeah. That don't mean it's good, though.
Yeah.
Well, then that's the thing. That's why when people ask me, I'm like, always make sure the quality is there, because everybody has a microphone now and everybody has a camera now, but it's how you're using it.
How does that affect when you're renegotiating and you're doing all these things? Because, you know, when we were growing up, we would set out, Thursday at 8, we'd have to watch this. You know,
Right.
Sunday at this, we'd have to watch this. But now it's kind of like, you know, well, if I miss it, that's all right. I'll catch it tomorrow. You know what I mean? And how does that, because can you actually register who's watching what shows? Because if you look at social media, the shows are hits, but the shows that are hits that we love sometimes don't get renewed.
Yeah. Well, they talk about and they use words like analytics and, you know, algorithms and all of that to really measure who's watching what, how much time you're watching something and all that, which is, again, a testament to everyone who loves the Upshaws, because we stay in the top 10 for so long, even though we're a half-hour show and we only have, you know, like 5 episodes or 4 episodes or 6 episodes. And so the idea that we are holding our own with these brands and these titles that have, you know, 10 episodes of 1 hour, that's, you know, a lot more time. And yet we're still, you know, in the running with them. So yes, they do have ways to monetize it and monitor it. That's as far as I know. Gotcha. In terms of the contracts, though, yes, when you see like people getting monetizing from like YouTube or Google ads and things like that. So there are certain contracts where they say, okay, after a certain number of minutes that are engaged or hours that are engaged, then, you know, you get a check or you get more checks and things like that. So they say that there's, you know, there's a science to all of it.
They never gonna show you the real numbers, though. They never gonna show you all the analytics.
Well, you know, don't look behind the curtain too hard. Yeah. You know.
now, May is Mental Health Awareness Month.
It's also my birthday month, but yes, it is.
Oh, okay. Happy early born day.
Thank you so very much. Thank you. But yes, it is.
And Refreshed by KF.
Yes.
What is that exactly? I heard you mention it earlier.
Yes. So Refreshed by KF. Thank you for asking. That's my wellness platform. It's my wellness brand. We do events. We have retreats. We have one coming up in June. And it's a space where, for me, I needed to be able to have wellness presented in a way that, for me, was accessible, that was attainable, sustainable. You know, that didn't mean I had to eat just only green foods and have no fun. And, you know, if I didn't have my ankle and my, you know, neck and wrapped up and all this stuff, that I'm not going to be well. And I just felt like, well, that can't be. And I wanted to hear from people who were either on wellness journeys or healing from different things or had different products and brands that weren't getting featured in some of the more mainstream, you know, wink, wink, mainstream area.
You can't drop no hits in here, right?
There's no wink winks here.
Okay, but it's not a black brand. Refreshed by KF is for literally everybody. Gotcha. And so my job, I feel like, in the wellness space is, I'm not an expert. I don't have answers, but I'm standing next to the man or next to the woman who does. That's right. I'm able to set a table and provide meals. What you choose to come and eat, that's on you. And that's how I feel about the wellness space. So with our retreats, I do the same kind of thing where I curate it. I personally cultivate it, the location, the spaces, the activities, activations, all of that, the refreshing friends who are coming, and just making sure the schedule, you know, because I just start with, well, what is it that I need? Because I keep finding out that when I put out there, here's what I need, here's what I'm feeling, here's what I'm thinking, here's what's on me, the masses are like, yo, shit, me too. And it ends up becoming that type of unique share, you know, and an environment and a safe space. So that's Refreshed by KF. We have live conversations now. We have the IG conversations that started back in 2020. We have the retreats. We have, of course, social media, the YouTube channel, where we help, you know, people find their inner explorer. We shine light on different subcultures, not just the mer people, but like mixologists, you know, and just different places and spaces where you go, oh my gosh, that's really interesting. Stories and people and experiences that maybe inspire you to go, you know what, I will get up 10 minutes earlier and go walking. Or I will learn how to swim. Or I will decide to kayak for 5 minutes, or whatever it may be that just helps people come out of their comfort zones, but deal with their well-being. Our tagline is give yourself permission to be well. As an actor, I'm always finding how powerful it is when you give yourself permission to go there, right? To be even funnier, to be even more emotional, and you give yourself permission, and that's always the catchphrase in acting. And I thought, well, what if we open that up more in terms of your well-being, you know? And we also make sure, I truly am the champion for making sure that men and men's wellness is a big part of our platform. So we have refreshments, and the MEN is, you know, more prominent, and it's to make sure that the fellas know you are welcomed here, and we will help you cultivate your wellness journey as well.
That's incredible. Where did they go to? Is there a website? Or?
Yes, so refreshretreatbykf.com. That's the website for the retreat. And that also gives you things like our store. We just dropped our first playlist that I curated on Spotify. And we, again, have Channel Refresh on YouTube. Of course, Refresh by KF is the IG and TikTok and social media.
Gotcha.
You know? But basically using your microphone and your platform to really impact in a different way. And that's what I feel. People ask me about legacy quite a bit. And I feel like at some point I want legacy for me not just to be these great characters, but also these great experiences and this great space that people feel like she helped me take care of myself, and not just with the gift of laughter or the gift of being seen on television, seeing somebody that looked like me, but my literal wellness as well.
You know, I wanted to ask you, because you brought up the characters that you play.
Yeah.
You played some iconic characters. Like, that's rare for anybody. I don't care, black, white, whatever. It's rare for you to have that type of success, you know, 3 different times. Was there ever a role that you auditioned for or even turned down that became iconic with somebody else, and you was like, damn, I should have did that? No. Okay.
But but I do have a story in reverse. So I got a call to go in for Storm for the X-Men.
Wow.
And don't get happy. Don't do it. Don't do it, family. And so when I got the call, I thought, what is Halle doing? What, is she tripping? What? Don't do that, girl. But okay, one man's trash is another man's trash. So I'm like, okay. So I got my boots out and my outfit, and I was going,
white hair.
Listen, I was ready to show them Storm, only to find out that the damn thing was for the animated series.
Oh man.
Lord.
I was like, oh man, wah.
They probably liked the way you showed up. They're like, wow, she takes it really serious. Even just voice acting, she takes voice acting serious.
No, that's right.
No, I didn't show up for that like that. And yes, so that's all.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, part 5 of the Upshaws are out on Netflix.
Season 5, man.
No, he's right. It's part 5. So
Okay.
they did this thing. They did like a little test to see, you know, calling it parts rather than seasons, because they would drop half and half. And so they called it parts. So it's part. I just say new episodes, and just, you know, leave it at that.
Okay, well,
parts are usually for films.
Listen, yes, Volume 6 of the Upshaws now streaming.
Well, check it out. It's on Netflix right now, and we appreciate you for joining us.
I love you guys so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right. It's Kim Fields. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.